These are the most expensive golf clubs I've ever tested on the channel. And I'm facing them off against these budget clubs to see what differences there are, if any, between the two sets. So these are the Mod 1 irons from Moore Golf. I've already tested out their wedges, but I've also now got a full set of irons. Each of these clubs individually costs $427. I've got 4 to pitching wedge, and a full set would set you back $2,989. Let's round it up to 3. Now, rather than just do a straight up review on the Mod 1 irons, I thought I would also go to the other end of the spectrum and get something to compare it to. So I tootled off to American Golf and spent £149 from 5 to sandwedge on these XR2 Phaser irons. Now, I have never used the XR2 or the XR1, and this may be the first time I've hit a Phaser club. It's also the first time in a long time I've actually gone out and bought a set of irons. I'm quite proud of these. Shows how grown up I've become. So to put this in perspective, a full set of the Phasers would cost you 5% of what a full set of the Mod 1 irons would cost you. My maths and my English really sharp this morning, but that is an extraordinary difference. And what I want to try and see is what, if any, performance benefits will you get from spending so much more money on this iron compared to this one. Before we carry on, guys, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel. We are heading towards 500,000 subs on YouTube. It will be great to have you as part of this community, and also stick around for the code word. The giveaways are coming. Let's try and figure out, first of all, why these Moore golf irons are so expensive. Oddly enough, it's because of not what is added, but what is not taken away. So every component of this iron is billet milled, and I'll throw up a video showing what that means. So there's no forging, there's no casting. This is purely milled out of a single billet of steel in the US. Now, that type of manufacturing process, that's going to up the cost considerably. It's also a modular design. Now, what that means is the flange on the bottom, that can be taken off and replaced depending on different conditions. The whole face can be replaced, and also the hosel can be replaced as well. Now, I've done a review on the wedges. If you want to check that out, please do here. And I could kind of see what they were getting at with that club. I actually think the irons look a lot better than the wedges. Because there's a little bit less loft, it doesn't look quite as odd. It's still a very strange looking club, don't get me wrong, but I think with less loft, they actually look a little bit better. First produced 2021. Club face does look absolutely crazy as well. Sounds like, they sound and they feel really good, like really good. So Mod 1 say about their iron manufacturing process is different than other golf equipment manufacturers, which make their irons with casting or forging processes that use molds or huge hammers to shape golf clubs. Both processes create inconsistencies in the metal that reduce performance and feel. Now, I'm all for trying new golf clubs, new processes, new ways of approaching things, but really, a Mizuno iron, are you going to say that forging affects the feel of that club? Come on, come on. I'm over 200 yards away, but I'm going to go XR2 Phaser. So short of this par 4 into, and I thought, why not use this as a moment to show you possibly one of the ugliest pitching wedges I've ever seen in my life. Because this is one of the issues when you start to get to the cheaper end of clubs. It's not so much about those little style points, it's just, it's a shovel. It's a big shovel on the end of a stick. One thing I love about the big pitching wedges is they've got so much feel around the green. These irons have also been a little bit more fitted for me, so the Mod 1s have an X-Stiff shafting, while the Phasers have just a regular. And shaping shots and the ability to control ball flight, that's something that these Mod 1s are going to have in abundance over the Phaser. So I'm just going to hit down here. Oh, I'll tell you what, Jake, you just go up there, just a touch, just get yourself a bit higher. And I'm just going to fizz it. You should be able to see against the back. I'm hoping so. Oh, that was just dirty, that. I feel I've seen something naughty that I shouldn't have seen there. So I've got the wedge here on the Mod 1. This is where they start to look even stranger to my eye. And this offset between the hosel and the leading edge becomes a little bit more pronounced. Morgul say that's actually important because it helps these clubs glide through the rough a little bit more. I've tested them a bit out today, and I've tested them in the wedge review as well. And yeah, maybe. Wow, I drilled that. Spin, hard. So for the data, we're going to test these clubs over 3 distances. So 150 yards, 180 yards, and then 200 yards for the 9-iron, the 7-iron, and the 5-iron. Those are the distances which I would expect to hit those irons. We're going to see what differences in the data there are and just dig into it a little bit more about the differences in price. So I've hit 5 shots with each of the 9-irons, the 7-irons, and the 5-irons. And the first little diagram we're going to look at here is the overall dispersion. You'll see here, the further the target gets away, the more the Mod 1 irons, which are in red, they get wider and wider with their dispersion. And yet, the phaser irons keep going relatively straight. And the forgiveness afforded by the phasers, yes, they are a bigger club head, but remember, 5% of the price, does seem to actually be quite superior than the Mod 1s, but we're going to have a look at that a little bit more closely in a moment. Let's have a look at the direct comparison between the Mod 1s and the phasers. It makes actually a little bit awkward reading if you are going to be investing a lot in these irons. Now, the first thing I want to say, I can't actually find the specs for the phaser irons anywhere because they are very strong, they are very powerful, and I don't know their lofts. But the Mod 1s, loft-wise, 25 degrees for the 5-iron, 32 degrees for the 7-iron, and 40 degrees for the 9-iron. So it's not like they're on the weak side of lofts. Those lofts would be considered strong. And when you have a look at the data here, I mean, you would say pretty much in every aspect, the phaser irons are performing better than the Mod 1s. So if you have a look at ball speed, again, this could be to do with lofts. 108 for the 9-iron Mod 1, 108 for the Phaser XR2, 123 for the 7-iron Mod 1, 125.8 for the XR2. It's also 1 mile an hour faster for the 5-iron. Launch angles are very similar, slightly lower with the 9-iron and the 7-iron for the Phaser, but then higher with the 5. Spin rates slightly higher with the Phaser overall. Carry distance is more with the Phaser on the 7-iron and the 5-iron, and it's pretty much exactly the same, 1 yard difference between that and the 9, and then distance is very, very comparable overall. On the course, and I really want to see what the ball flights are like. I'm going to have a nearest to pin competition, and that said pin is 190 yards away. I'm going to do alternate shots with the 6 irons, and first up, we have the Mod 1. Oh. Well, I think we're going to safely say that's not going to get nearest to pin. On to the Phaser, right off of the green. Sun coming out. Oh, what a morning, what a morning. It's heading straight towards David. Oh, off the bank. I think that's off the bank and pretty decent. Oh, Phaser, you scabby little sod. I think that's a huge difference though, like the strike quality and the feel of the Mod 1 is really good. That's quite short, I think. It's decent. Whoa, it's massive. Chunk that a bit. So I've chunked that a bit and that's finished short. And I've hit the Mod 1s well and they finished short. Now, these are both 6 irons, but there's nothing wrong with hitting one 6 iron shorter than the other because control is more important. You know, it doesn't really matter the number on the club as long as you do have that control. Just try to hit that a bit higher with a bit more draw. That looked a bit better. Another kind of drop kicky chunky. Last two. I mean, they are super, super consistent. I'll give it that. Oh. Oh, bang on line, just short. Two things to take away from this. Those are 4 of the Mod 1s. Now look at the consistency from 190 yards about where they're pitching. Very happy with that. The first shot pulled it miles to the left. And then the phasers, I struck 3 of those very poorly, and yet they've ended up in and around the pin. The one which I struck really well has gone about 50 yards through. So the winner of the nearest the pin comp is the phaser, but I'd say the winner of the consistency stakes on this particular test is definitely Mod 1. Only problem with these Mod 1s is I've caught a little bit of like stinger fever now. Now I've seen a few go low and I can control the height. Yeah, that's all I'm going to be hitting for the rest of the day now. How dirty is that? How good is that? Oh. Now, for the opposite end of the spectrum, I am not going to be able to keep the XR2 low. The whole point of this design is to make the club head big, push the perimeter weighting as much to the outside as you possibly can, and therefore aid forgiveness. This is not a club which you're going to be able to shape a lot, but that's not the point of it. I'll try and hit a low one. But that's the advantage, like, just a nice easy swing, ball pops away, and it's ended up on the fairway, so it's the same job, doesn't it?
So let's have a test of forgiveness, because one of the key claims that Moore Golf actually make is that this hosel is a space age alien aluminum, I don't know, it's lightweight aircraft things, because the weight's been stripped out of the hosel, been put into the club head to increase MOI forgiveness. So we're going to use the quad, got the dots on so we can see exact strike location. I'm going to be focusing more on toe strikes, find that a little bit easy to control. And we're going to be going 5 shots with the mod and then 5 with the phaser. Now that was toey. Holy moly. That's actually a lot better than I thought. Yeah, you know what, this is actually getting a little bit more impressive because these are striking towards the toe, but they actually still feel very, very solid. You know what, that was actually really, really decent. Now the XR2 should have an advantage in the forgiveness stakes because it is absolutely gigantic. This is a wheelbarrow attached to the end of a shaft, but during initial testing, it's actually felt really nice to hit. And because that club face is so much bigger, because there's so much more mass, theoretically, they should be able to push the weight more towards the corners and increase moment of inertia. But these are very cheap clubs, so the amount of engineering which goes into these designs, you would think would be less than the Mod 1s, but we will see. That's Toey McTosin. Again, better ball speed, better carry. Wow. Again, that's like the second one from the mods, just exceptionally out the toe. Done all right again. Interesting results again. Ball speed for the toe strikes with the phaser, and I'll show in a minute just how similar they were on those average strikes. 124 compared to 120 with the mod. Backspin slightly less with the phaser. Carry distance 178 versus 172 and 196 versus 193, again in favor of the phaser. I'll throw up here the average strikes, and actually I was hitting the phaser a little bit more towards the toe than I was the Mod 1. Club head speed was faster, so 1.7 miles an hour faster with the phaser, but holding these two clubs together, there is a definite weight difference. Like the Mod 1 is noticeably heavier.
That is brutal. Look at that. You can literally see the Mod 1 grooves on it. So ignore that bit of scuffing, which is from the same shot. Basically, you can see like all the cross grooves on there. Wow. So not only are these irons going to set you back $3,000, they're also going to set you back about $400 in Pro Vs. Or Vices, if that's your preference. Look, he's done it on this one as well. Oh, I think these were the wedge shots as well. Look at that. Oh. Look at that one. Wow. So on the course and in the bay, there has been a bit of a difference in feel and performance. On the course, the mods are just so much better than the XR2s as far as feel, workability, and even though they look very strange, looks. 160 here to the back, we'll go XR. Literally nothing wrong with these irons. There's nothing wrong with these irons. They're definitely shorter. So if we're going to rank these irons a little bit, I think feel, you've got to go with the Mod 1s. The way they've been constructed, the way they strike the ball, the way they move through the turf, they are better than the phasers, there's no doubt about that. If you're looking for a more forgiving iron, and I'd probably say having more appeal, I'd actually go with the phasers. They're big, they're not very subtle, but they get the ball in the air, they send it a long way, and they're pretty easy to hit. They don't feel great, but you know, for 150 quid, you know, there are going to be some sacrifices that you make. In the studio, forgiveness on the phasers was better, probably all round performance was a bit better as well, but I do feel I'm swinging it maybe slightly better today. So if you're going to go for a precision club and you've got the cash, why not? If you want to get the Mod 1s, you're going to be owning a real individual club that not many people are going to be able to get their hands on. But it is $3,000. Like, you can get probably 2 full sets for $3,000. And I'm not just talking about the irons. And this is one of those odd moments where actually the phasers, even though their reputation isn't great, they perform really well. So when you attach a certain price to something, your expectations will go up. And if you get in the Mod 1s, you can expect, you know, a very well engineered precision golf club, which is unique. But which set of these irons would most people probably go for? Well, get in the comments and let me know. I think you know that I know what you know that we know. You know. We are doing monthly giveaways on the channel, and all you need to do to enter is be a subscriber to the channel, like this video, use the code word #BiteTheBillet. And what we do at the end of each month is take everyone who's used that code word within a comment, put it into a random generator, and then pick it out. Prizes do vary monthly. Stay tuned, make sure you turn the notifications on because we will be replying to your original comment if you win. Now, I've been checking out 2 different sets of irons today, but if you want more information on irons which could be right for your game, check this video out here. Big thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you get down into those comments, and we'll see you down here next time.